Kia ora. I'm hoping I am on. I think so. I'm going to guess that this is live. So kia ora koutou, kia ora everyone. Thank you for tuning in to today's discussion around how creative spaces can support staff and art workers to ensure that their creative wells stay full. Cool. So tēnā koutou, tēnā koutou, tēnā koutou katoa. Ko hikaroroa toku mauka, ko waikawa iti toku awa, ko araiti uru toku waka, ko ka te huirapa te hapu, ko kaitahu raua ko Ngāti Kahungunu ki te wairoa o ku iwi, ko Otepoti toku kaika, ko Moewai Marsh toku ingoa. So kia ora koutou, my name is Moewai Marsh. I am an artist working as an arts worker here at Artsenta in Otepoti. I'm one of a team of 6, including one director, a deputy director, and one of our art workers also coordinates a lot of our outreach programs that we have in Balclutha, Central Otago, and Oamaru. We facilitate different creative projects with artists who are using mental health and addiction services. We all have different expertise in many areas of creativity, including ceramics, glass, mosaics, music, painting, drawing, screen printing, textiles, and so on. This allows a broad range of learning and advice for our artists, which is also beneficial for our team. So here's just a few pictures of the space Arts Centre. I also am reading off a piece of paper. So if you see me looking down, I'm just looking at my notes because I'm not very good at winging these kind of things. I had to have a plan. So if that's what you see me doing, that's what I am up to. So Arts Centre refers to their clients as artists, as they are people who are coming to us to use creativity as a tool to improve their well-being and to make meaningful connections with other creatives in the community. If you hear me talking about artists throughout this presentation, that's who I am referring to. So today I'll be talking about a range of things, but the main topic that I'd like to talk about is what I like to call filling the well. I will discuss why this idea is important in my role as an art worker within my team and how it can contribute to our own creative practices outside of mahi too. My goal for today is to reflect on Arts Centre as an organisation, the way we work as a team, and how we can better support art workers to be creative. I do believe that creativity is the most important part of this role, and without it, it's kind of hard to be a good art worker and work on your own creative projects outside of work too. So by putting forward my ideas and my experiences here at Arts Centre, as an art worker and a young Māori artist, I'd like to generate reflections and responses from our peers through the creative space community within the topic of keeping our well full. So before I get into this topic, I would like to introduce myself and talk a little bit about my journey and my creative mahi toi practice. So as an artist and an art worker, I have experienced when my well has been empty and when it has been full. This is a really important concept to discuss as a creative. Within my team, we all share so many of our skills and we give a lot of our energy to many of our artists. It can be challenging to try balance how much of yourself to give without getting burnt out or experiencing creative block. I've been working at Arts Centre for just over a year now, and before I started this role, I had been studying at the Dunedin School of Art, where I majored in painting. So art school was a really challenging 3 years, but it was also really rewarding as my creativity grew, as did my own cultural identity. I'm 23 years old, about to be 24, and in my 23 years of being alive so far, creativity has always been a really big part of me. And I always knew that wherever I am in life, I want to express myself through art. And I've been really thankful so far for all the opportunities that have opened up for me by continuing that journey. Like being able to work in this organisation and be a part of a service that helps a lot of people through creativity. Another important journey that has helped me connect is my Māoritanga. Art has been an awesome way to open up that connection to my culture. So I grew up in Ōtepoti feeling quite disconnected from my Māoritanga, and art has been that way to express those feelings without actually saying anything. I began exploring what it means for me to be Māori in my final year of art school. I started studying mahi toi alongside my degree through Te Wānanga or Aotearoa, and this really opened up a community for me to meet other creatives and connect more to my Māoritanga. The Te Ao Māori lens started opening up for me whilst I was at art school, and I felt like I had a bit more of a foundation to create something that was meaningful, but also something that was a reflection of my own cultural identity. So the painting series I created in my final year of art school was called Te Manawa Ora. The series required a lot of experimentation. I started exploring materiality from the earth, like using clay, sand. I used water from specific sites, from seas and rivers, and I connected with other artists, and I researched Māori artists as that were an inspiration to me at the time, like Robin Kahukiwa, Star Gossage, Arita Wilkinson, and Fiona Partington. These pictures here are just a few of my experimentations that I was doing in art school with different clay pigmentations. I was critiqued and I received lots of feedback and guidance, but I was also trying to figure out who am I and what do I want to voice in my mahi toi. When I started art school, I was 18 years old. And I didn't have a voice then, and I felt like I didn't really have an identity either. I loved pop art and painting comic series until I got into my third year and I had a huge identity crisis. So this series was a result of that learning and that growing into the person that I wanted to be. So these are just a few photos of my painting series, Te Manawa Ora, that I exhibited at the end of year exhibition during SITE at the Dunedin School of Art. So Te Manawa Ora is about the breath of life. The breath is really important as it's an indication that we're living and we're present. It was about breathing life into our landscapes, being aware of where my tipuna walked, my whakapapa, and by starting this journey, layers were created of connection and an essence of wairua became present throughout the whole series. The heitiki in these works I see as portals into a te ao Māori view of our landscapes. Taonga and resources from the earth that I used in these paintings fused all those elements of wairua, papa tuanuku, and whakapapa together to create Te Manawa Ora. This work was really sacred and special to me when I created it. It not only was about breathing life into the land, but I felt a breath come over me as well. And it was like a new me was created. It's probably the best way that I can explain it. So I graduated from art school in 2019 and I did a residency at the end of 2020 with a few of my mates that I went to art school with, and we're all pretty tight now. That residency was at a studio called Studio Dexterity in Waikuku, which is near about 30 minutes out of Ōtautahi. I was there for about a month and it was a really good opportunity for me to grow and connect with different people. So this painting here was one of the paintings that I created over that residency, which was called Aku Maunga Haere, which means my travelling mountains. And this is of Aoraki. And I also created, oh, maybe I didn't add it into the slideshow. That's all good. I did another painting as well over that time. And yeah, I loved it. But coming into 2020 and 2021, they were both really challenging years for me as I was still pretty fresh out of art school. Creatively, mentally, emotionally, I was pretty exhausted, and I wanted to say that this is when I experienced my well being empty, like completely empty, and it wasn't good. My mental health was not great. So I isolated myself away from everyone, my friends, my family. I was working full-time in a job that I didn't enjoy, and I didn't have any time to see my friends or do any of my artwork. My only two creative mates were living in Christchurch, and all I did was work. So I quit my job and I tried to do art full-time, and that was another challenge. I just had no money, and I wasn't a part of any creative communities either. So I was just really sad, and I think there are too many people that experience this kind of creative low. I'll come back to this point, followed by some positives later on in the discussion, because I didn't stay in that place. I got out of it, but I thought this could be a good opportunity now to talk about when that creative well is empty and the effect it has had in my role as an art worker and an artist. I think for those who are listening to some of my personal experiences, I think it'll be a nice way to open up the conversation about this topic, as I know I'm not the only one who has experienced their well being empty. And I'm hoping that this will lead into a thoughtful discussion at the end too, as I've had some really awesome conversations with my colleagues who have actually helped me bring to attention the impact of when our well is empty. So working in an organisation where our role is focused on creativity and providing a safe, creative environment for our artists, this can bring a lot of challenges for myself and my team's well-being. Problems that occur when we are giving so much of our creativity and our ideas can lead to an individual feeling extremely stressed, exhausted, or the whole team experiencing major burnout. This energy can bounce back into the space when we are working with our artist. It can be hard to enjoy being creative, and also difficult to come up with new ideas and encourage artists to be creative when we are mentally exhausted. When we force ourselves to be creative at work, in our own time, our mental health is affected too. We give our creativity to our artist, but it's also something we need for our own mental health and well-being too. It's also tough as a team to prioritize creativity when we have so many other things we need to discuss during our day-to-day meetings. We become fearful of using our skills, and we worry that we're not using them enough. All of us at work have spent a lot of time developing the strong skills that we all have. We have art backgrounds, we've worked in galleries, we've curated, we've been art technicians, we have music backgrounds, music therapy backgrounds, we have art degrees, we've had experiences in our communities, and we've committed our time to work on projects in and outside of our communities. We've all worked in different areas of creativity, we've owned stores, we've gone to art schools all around the world, we've travelled, we've studied, we've developed art practices, we've connected more to our cultures through art, we've been in exhibitions, we've connected with other organisations, we've made plenty of mistakes, but we've come out of it stronger too. We've all had to figure out what is so unique about what we bring to this organisation. And not only that, what is so unique about the skills that we do have? How can we make sure that we're growing within ourselves and growing our skills as artists, musicians, and art workers. So some questions that I ponder is, are we losing our skills if we're not using them to our fullest potential? Are we doing enough of the things that we love at work and outside of work? And how can we be creative as a team? How can we work on our own creativity outside of work when we have reached a point of burnout? And how long do these feelings last? We give so much of ourselves physically, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually to our artists every day. We want our artists to have the best experience coming to Artsenta, and we want to contribute to filling to their wells too. There is a lot of social work that comes into our role as art workers, which adds yet another layer. We want to make sure artists feel cared for, heard, supportive, and most importantly, creative. The negative impacts of art workers' wells being empty is it becomes incredibly difficult to give when we have nothing left for ourselves. So do we have good boundaries set in place to protect our creativity? How much should we actually be giving? And do we know how to balance this? How do we make sure that we're taking care of our own mental health and well-being? And what do other organisations do when their team is feeling low? These are some questions I'd really like to come back to at the end of this talk too. So this brings me to my next topic, filling the well. Told you there'd be some positives. So as you can see, from the well being empty, there is a lot that goes into being an effective art worker. To be able to do our jobs and take care of ourselves, we need to remind ourselves how amazing it is to be us. To have all these incredible skills and share them with people we care about is a gift, and something we often forget. It's way easier to express negativity over positivity, which is why it's important that we express gratitude in our days and truly appreciate the kind of work we do. We do this in our meetings, asking, what are the good things that have happened today? Or what has been your highlight of the week? There are so many awesome and unique moments that we have with artists, our team, and our community. Each one of us in my team are dedicated and passionate creatives. We've spent an immense amount of time developing the skills that we have, so it must be prioritised to put ourselves first, our skills, and our creativity. It's like putting the oxygen mask on before you help others with theirs. So my next point that I would like to talk about now is the golden circle. This is a metaphor my colleague and my friend told me about when I first started at Artsenta, which is the golden circle. The golden circle is one of the positives in my role, and it's something that has kept me safe in my art practice and in my role as an art worker. The golden circle is something I use when I keep inside things for myself. I know I have many creative skills, we all do, but that doesn't mean that we have to give all of ourselves away. So keeping your own practice in your golden circle, some of your skills, your ideas, things that are precious to you, stays inside your golden circle. We don't have to share everything. And by doing this, this creates a balance of what we do give for our artists as we're all growing and learning new things for ourselves. For me, I'm still reconnecting to my Māoritanga, and that's a journey that's important for me and my art practice. It's not always easy to create this balance or set healthy boundaries, which is why it's always good to remind ourselves if we are giving too much away and to keep some of it inside your golden circle. So have you broken your golden circle by giving all of your creativeness away? Absolutely not. Communication within the team needs to be healthy for staff members to feel safe when an individual feels they are reaching a point of burnout or are getting too stressed out by the amount of creativity that they've given out. This comes back to our own mental health and well-being. It's crucial for us to be well so we can all do the creative things that we love. I would encourage staff and organisations to provide mental health days for your workers. To have regular check-ins with each art worker would also be beneficial to make everyone feel like they can express their thoughts and vulnerabilities, so the art workers are being looked after too. So this brings me to Te Whare Tapawha. All 4 pillars of Te Whare Tapawha are really important. You've got the spiritual, te taha wairua, te taha hiningaro, the mental, emotional, te taha tinana, the physical, and te taha whānau, the family relationships, the social relationships. When all 4 sides of these pillars are strong, we're able to perform to the best of our abilities at Artsenta. When we leave mahi feeling good, all that positive energy pours into our own lives too. Keeping these pillars solid helps fill our creative wells. We need to create a strong foundation for ourselves and our team to keep our passions alive and make sure they're thriving. So how do we look after our hauora, our well-being, as art workers? An exciting part of being supported by Artsenta to fill our creative wells is the professional development opportunities we are encouraged to take. These are usually, but not always, creative paths, a time to connect with our peers and learn new skills, and it fills every aspect of Te Whare Tapawha. So my mahi toi class that I'm doing this year through Te Wānanga o Aotearoa, I have used this for professional development, and I'm so thankful for everything I've learned in class. I've been studying mahi toi for almost 3 years now, and it has contributed so much to my personal growth and my art practice. My classes are an escape for me, and I've gotten so much valuable mātauranga Māori from doing them. These are some of my kōwhaiwhai boards that I painted last year and this year. The one I painted this year, I painted with whenua pigments, which is a journey I'm currently exploring around traditional methods my ancestors used for making paint out of natural earth pigments. And that has been a really special for me as an artist, connecting more to my whakapapa too. So another colleague has recently been at a creative fibre workshop, an international glass conference, and was also mentored in a glass blowing studio. She found that she had the space and the time to develop and test her skills with other glass artists. It gave her a feeling of renewed confidence and headspace to think of new ideas, brought about by the practice or conversations while she made glass. She has returned to the team refreshed, with new experiences to share, a new vibrant energy, and some of these things are going to stay in her golden circle too. So another art worker, Erin, has had the opportunity to attend some workshops with Rekindle, who are based in Ōtautahi. Rekindle create and transform local resources through care and craft. This connects them to communities by sharing their skills and resources that they have. Erin learnt how to whistle green wood spoons and made string and rope out of te koka leaves, cabbage tree leaves. She also made soap. She learnt how to sharpen whittling knives, and she enjoyed learning new craft practices and being a student instead of a teacher. She came back feeling inspired and wanting to learn more. By forming this relationship, we had the opportunity for Rekindle to run some workshops here at Artsenta, which was amazing. Artists got to take part in this process. The atmosphere that was created during the day was fun and exciting. So these are some of the baskets that our artists have made with the te koka leaves, and this is a whittled spatula that an artist is making here as well. These creative moments are so special as we benefit from them, as do our artists. We learn new skills together, and it adds so much to filling our creative wells. Getting to do professional development takes a lot of commitment. Letting yourself release from the responsibilities at work for a short time, relying on your team to take up the slack is hard, and you can feel guilty to put that on them. Every art worker has a lot of commitments outside of work. Families, kids, pets to look after, relationships, studying, committing time to personal projects and art practices. This can make taking the time to do something that can contribute to your professional development quite challenging, as it's not always easy to find something that's exciting and available, especially in Dunedin. However, professional development is so rewarding and it contributes so much to filling our creative wells. Having that new energy to bring back feeling inspired, feeling joy for creativity, and also being able to do something for yourself to learn new skills and develop them. Professional development takes time and effort, but with everyone's experiences doing their own professional development, has proved that it's worth it. So Artsenta also hosts 4 creative days throughout the year just for the team. We close for the day and we focus on creativity for ourselves. It's a good opportunity to learn skills from other staff members. It's an opportunity to teach skills and also have some time out to play music or do something in the space we may not have the time to do, like making a pinch pot or playing the clarinet or screen printing a t-shirt, for example. Sometimes we go and visit exhibitions that we don't have the time to see as well. As I mentioned before, we give a lot as an art worker, so it's quite nice for the team to come together and have some creative downtime. So these are some photos from a recent creative day that we had, where we made our own paintbrushes. We foraged different materials from sticks to flowers to wool. We had te coca leaves in there, heaps of things. They all created different textures and the process was really fun. Another creative day I actually hosted this year was inspired by a mate of mine, Aisha Green. Aisha and I were both a part of the Paimanu Tauraka show that was at the Dunedin Public Art Gallery, which was dedicated to celebrating kaitahu culture. She hosted a few workshops this year and the year before at Otako, Puketeraki Marae and the Art Gallery for whānau to come out and paint a painting in her style of a loved tipuna, an ancestor. So these tipuna went on display at the Tauraka show. I painted one of my great-grandmothers and yeah, it was a really, really awesome day. Aisha had a whole bunch of leftover boards that she couldn't take home with her, so she gave them to me. Thank you, Aisha. I asked her if it was okay to use her teachings from the workshop for a creative day with my colleagues, and she said it was all good. So for our creative day at work, we got the chance to paint an ancestor inspired by Aisha Green, which I led. And everyone had an awesome time. Everyone got real stuck in, was really concentrated, and the results of what everyone created was beautiful. We used similar methods that Aisha had given us the tools to do for one of our creative drawing sessions that we have at Artsenta. So this is Eileen. We actually do not know who Eileen is. We just think her name is Eileen. A colleague found this image of this lady. We don't know, but she was just such a great character to draw. So we broke the process down for our artists and we made it something of our own. We still got to have that day for our own creativity, but there were snippets from it that we did bring back into the space without giving too much from our creative day away. So professional development and our creative days are a great chance for us to grow as individuals, to develop and learn more skills, and to enable more creativity. We want to be great art workers, and we want to love being creative, and we also want to share our skills and use them. Creativity should always be prioritized, as this is when we thrive in the space and within ourselves. Creativity is so important to every single one of us. It's a part of who we are. There is a lot we need to do as an organisation to make sure that art workers are supported and cared for in any creative space. Professional development and creative days are fantastic opportunities, but art workers need to be encouraged to use their professional development. Start making a proposal, a financial plan, or even just gathering some ideas and make them happen with everyone's support. Because without the support, it can't happen. Some colleagues have been at Artsenta for a long time but haven't used much of their professional development. And I think this is a problem. These things help keep our creative wells full, so it's important that they're prioritised. Art workers shouldn't have to worry about work or their personal lives when they're away. This is valuable time for you to grow and to be inspired and come back feeling all those good feelings and projecting that energy into the space and within yourself. Discussions at the end of the day need to be balanced, so creativity does feel prioritised. We need to dedicate time to plan our creative days, so when they come, we look forward to them. We need to dedicate, I just read that. If we truly care about something, it takes time to grow. It's like a garden. If you water your garden, nurture your garden, tidy them, care for them, they'll grow and they will flourish. We are the garden that needs watering and taking care of, because if we don't take care of ourselves, there's going to be nothing in our garden. So filling the well requires love, care, attention, and time. To sum everything up from today's talk on filling the well, there are multiple negative impacts for us as art workers and art practitioners. It causes problems for our creativity, our mental health, and the capacity to work to the best of our abilities. We don't want our wells to be empty. As a team and as an organisation, we need to prioritise creativity and make the time to have discussions about our professional development and our creative days. We need to create an environment where we feel safe to express our feelings if we are reaching a point of burnout. We need to put that care into action to look after one another's well-being, because when our wells are filled, that's when all the magic happens. Like all these things here. Our creative wells are crucial as art workers and outside of our lives too. I hope this discussion has generated some thoughts and reflections on how your organisation can support art workers to be creative and ensure that our creative wells stay full. So thank you everyone for listening so far. Here is my thank you slide. There is still a bit of time for questions and a discussion, maybe some questions that I've already gone over from this talk, but yeah, that is kind of all I have written down on my piece of paper. I didn't really plan this part of what I was going to say, so I will exit out of this PowerPoint, and maybe this can be a good time for some questions and a discussion. Okay, here is one question. Do you find it difficult to find time and justification for creative days and mental health days? Yes, I do. I think my whole team does. I think the problem with not the problem with Artsenta, but the problem is so many problems happen. So there's a lot of problems to talk about, which means you're talking more about problems rather than creativity, which is why creativity kind of needs to be prioritized so we can find that time to talk about our creative days, because sometimes I feel they come and they're planned 2 or 3 days before and there's not enough time to properly look forward to it or get excited for our creative days. I hope I've answered that okay. Thank you, Anonymous, for your question. I'm trying to think of anything else that I can add to that point. I think the main thing for me as an artist is creativity is so important for me to be an artist and an art worker. And when, say, if I'm low and I'm not feeling good, then I can't really do my job properly. And I think it's the same for my team too. We need to be well so we can actually do our jobs. Can you tell us, oh, I'm sorry, I don't know which question to read. Do you find, okay, I think I answered that question, hopefully. I did see another one pop up, but I'm not too sure where it's gone. Should creative spaces share professional development ideas? Yes, they should actually. That would be great. Having as many relationships as possible with creative spaces. It'd be nice to hear what other creative spaces do in terms of professional development, because every creative space is different, and how other spaces find the time to prioritize it, discuss it, how spaces make it happen. Because I kind of think that's what we need to figure out now in my team. How can we make sure that people are using their professional development? That has been a problem, especially for colleagues that have been here for a really long time and using like 5 professional developments in 10 years or however many years. Like, it should be always happening, but it's not. So yes, creative spaces should share professional development ideas. That would be great. Can you truly embrace creativity on a pure day-to-day basis? How do you recommend maintaining creative discipline in this process? Oh, that's a good question. I think that's why communication is really important with maintaining creative discipline. I think especially if you're reaching a point of burnout and stress or creative block, I think by communicating these feelings, people can help you bring that creativity back. Like, I know for my team, if someone is experiencing a low, it's nice to be able to vent that to someone and have people help you get out of that block, because we all know as a team how important our creativity is for our well-being. So it's important to have a good support crew around you to get out of that low, so you're not isolating yourself and not doing anything creative, because we need to be creative. Creativity is so important for your well-being. And for me as an artist, I have to be really disciplined, as there's a lot of projects in mahi that I work on outside of work. So I've had to create quite like a strict routine for myself and set real healthy boundaries so that my creativity is balanced, especially with not giving so much of yourself away. So coming back to the golden circle that I talked about before, keeping those things inside your golden circle so that when you walk away, you've still got something for you to do outside of work as well. Okay, I think I've answered this. I don't know if I'm answering these very well. I hope so. What's the next question? Oh, I like this question. How did you figure out I'll read this one. Would you suggest art workers to suggest professional development to management? And how would you go about that? Would you suggest art workers to suggest professional development to management? If you feel that professional development is going to advance whatever you do in your practice or whatever skills you are providing in your role, then definitely professional development is crucial as art workers, or if you're working in a creative space, because it helps your own skills grow. It helps you learn new things. Like, I've only been here at Artsenta for about a year, and I've used my first professional development that I used was for my mahi toi classes. And I've gained so much knowledge from those classes. And the second professional development that I used, I got a ticket to go to a Toi Te Kupu conference in Auckland, it was a conference where Māori artists spoke about different topics around creativity, curating, and everything that I have used for my professional development. I feel I can bring back into the space and feel a bit stronger in myself as well. So yeah, definitely take it to management. I think there's a question here. Should I answer this question? How did you figure out what's in your golden circle? Well, I kind of knew when I started this role that my cultural identity is very important to me. So I remind myself in my job that, okay, this is important to me. I've got to keep this in my circle. It doesn't mean that I'm not going to share anything about being Māori into the space, but things like my own art practice, my journey that I'm on with learning about whenua pigments, all things like that, I keep in my circle. It's pretty much things that I'm still learning and I'm wanting to discover more about that I feel is important for me and my personal growth, I keep in my golden circle. And that might look different for everyone. There may be things or skills that you have that you're actually not comfortable to share, or you're still figuring out a few things about these skills that you might want to explore on your own. So I think it's really important that those things that are precious to you keep inside your golden circle, because you don't have to give all of yourself away. Otherwise, you won't have anything, especially if you're an artist or you do art outside of work, or you're a musician or whatever you are. Like, you've got to have something for yourself. And that's also just keeps your well-being and your mental health safe too. Keeping that spiritual element of yourself inside your golden circle to keep yourself strong too. Yeah. Did I answer them okay? I hope so. Gosh, thank you everybody who listened. Yeah. I don't know what else to say.